Hi there and welcome. These are your handover videos for your Bailey Unicorn Cabrera. These are a basic walkthrough on how to set up and operate the caravan as if you were coming on or off site. So, starting off first, we have your black kit shed here with silver lever, which you have to have pulled up so that you can then wind down the jockey wheel onto the tow bar, causing that to snap down and pressing up that red button whilst exposing the green ring. You have your breakaway cable just here. Now legality states if you have an eye point, it must be used. You then have 13-pin electric, so if you do have 7-pin adaptation, make sure to bring yourself an adapter. You then have your handbrake here. It's currently engaged. To disengage, you press down, and then you do come up with a fair bit of force, so make sure your face isn't tip away. 2 points either side and 2 points at the back. We have inserts for your legs. Now the caravan itself comes with a leg winder, or you can get yourself a 19mm drill bit and a power drill just to make it that bit quicker. Do not attempt to jack up or level the caravan using your legs, so they're simply used for stabilisation. Now we're using our test equipment today. So first up, we have the plug in for the mains. Mains plugs into the side, nice and easy, and then you can press down that cap to secure it. Same concept with the water pump. We're not running water through today as the caravan has been fully drained off. However, to insert, all you do is just press in and you can lock it into place with that cap. The only way to remove it at that point is either A, break the plastic, or just open it up. You have this white cap to go over the top of the acrowl to ensure no nastiness gets in, and then at the bottom we have your strainer. Now it's crucial that that sits at the bottom of the barrel to allow the maximum potential of water to come through. If it's not sat at the bottom, it can lead to coughs and splutters and airlocks. Then we have your flow. Your flow is used to get clean air in and out of your boiler when operating on gas. You don't have to do anything with this except make sure it's nice, clean and tidy. Next to that, we have your gas locker. Now I am using our test propane bottle. I'd always recommend propane over butane. Connected to that, we have a hose, which production date 2025, as you can see just there. That connects from the bottle to this regulator. Now the regulator itself, you have to hand tighten that hose on as much as you can and then just nip it up using a spanner. You don't want it ridiculously tight because, as you can see on this example, there's an O-ring inside. Too much pressure can cause that to crack and break. Motor mover will be gone over on collection. And then lastly, we have your toilet stuff. So underneath you have these 2 points, and that's where your wastewater is going to come out of. You'll need some 28.5mm waste pipe to then feed into a waste master that you can empty out at the appropriate point on site. Then here we have your cassette toilet. To remove it, press up on the handle and pull out towards you. Now this does also extend out and up, so it can be used similar to a carry-on suitcase. Twist this head to the side, open up this cap. Then what you want to do is tilt, and at the same time as tilting, continually pressing that vent button. I would then recommend to open up this compartment, feed in some fresh water like I've done, give it a shake, make sure you put this back on properly, and again tilt and vent. Then on this cap you have measurements in both imperial and metric. That is for your blue chemical. Blue chemical goes into there, back onto the cap, twist the head to the side, push it in, so the orange handle sits behind those white teeth. Then above we have your flush tank. This has a capacity to hold around 12 litres, however I wouldn't recommend putting in any more than 10 as you don't want to overfill the compartment. You can also add some pink chemical, which works as a bleach without being corrosive and makes it smell nicer. However, you don't want to travel with either of these too full, so just to the side here, got this little bong to drain off any remaining water from the flush tank. The caravan itself will be fully drained off by the time you collect it. underneath your fridge you have all of your trips and fuses. As you can see, all your trips are up and all your fuses in the correct position. I'd always recommend carrying some extra fuses across the caravan. Then underneath your left hand side seat, as if you was looking in, you have your mover control box and then your isolation switch for your mover here as well. That will be gone over on collection. Then underneath your right hand side seat you have your boiler here, which you can pull back that panel if you ever need to do a reset. And then you can see at the bottom there you have that yellow drain valve. That drain valve, when facing in the upright position, will drain off any remaining water from the boiler and also from the water system. Have that up permanently from November to March, and anytime you come on site, give it a drain over. When you want the water to come through, you want it flipped down to horizontal position. Then just here we have your toilet operation. So press in this button and you can hear that whir. That is what will push through any water inside the system. To remove the waste, you press away on this handle, opens up the catch and pull it back towards you so you're actually able to remove the cassette toilet. When the cassette is full, there will be a red light under there telling you to empty. And here we have your main control panel. So we have an on and off button here. We then have interior lights, as you can see, and then you just have to use your respective switches. You then have awning lights, so press that in, go to the outside and you can see it's on. You then have the amount of charge inside the battery, so you can see it's full at the moment. However, I am plugged into mains, so that is going to slightly alter it. But when you're not plugged in, it will show you an accurate representation. This is a blank button just because they use the same system on motorhomes. You then have your pump button. So what you would do, you'd have your water pump plugged outside into an acroll full of water. You'd have your drain valves down in the correct position, and then you'd come over to your taps. You'd open up on both hot and cold, and what you're looking for is a nice steady continuous stream. If there's any coughs and splutters, it may be a case that the system is overly pressurized. However, just bear through it. But if it continues to persist, double check that this is sat at the bottom of the barrel. So all you're doing, you're checking that tap, and if you're going to be using the others as well, double check them. Then just here we have your Alder control panel. So turn this on, press in, that green light will stay on continuously. However, this interface will cut off if not interacted with in a few minutes. You can see at the top that mains are plugged in. So I'll press first on the indoor. So this is for setting the temperature. It tells me the current temperature, which is 9.5 degrees, and what it wants to be set at. So it goes up to a maximum of 30 and starts at 5 degrees. You can press and hold it, or you can individually tap to go up. You then have the energy. So this is what you're using to power the heating and the hot water. So you can either use 1, 2 or 3 kilowatts of electric. Now do be aware that some sites don't have 3 kilowatts, especially if they're rather busy, so always just double check with them. Or you can have gas, or you can have a mixture gas of 1, 2 and 3. So you've got the choice of gas mains or both. You then have hot water, off, on or boost. Now on will get it to around 40 degrees and boost will prioritize heating the water over heat of the caravan and will get it to around 60 degrees. However, when I select it, you can see it only gives me 30 minutes. Press menu, comes back to this screen, press it again, you go through to some settings, which you can then scroll through. I'm not going to show you how that operates just because we have set this to what we believe as the most user-friendly panel. However, if you'd like to have a look at your book packs, please do, because you can see what they represent. Now, as mentioned, it may be a case that these panels just cut off after a few minutes. However, if you don't want the heating on at all, press in, no more green light, and you can see it's completely off. Then here we have your hob grill and oven. So all of this operates on gas, minus the electric plate. For that, just spin it to whatever mark and it will get to temperature. Everything else, press in on the dial, twist it to the side and press your igniter button. Now it may be a case that it can take a few seconds to light up. It may light up and then cut out. That is natural. That's the gas just making its way through the system. So just relight it, make sure that everything's staying lit, and then you're all good to go. This is what it looks like when they're all lit. As you can see, all burners nice and lit. Turn it off, back to the central position. Same concept for the grill. Now the grill may light up on one side then the other. As you can see there again, all nice and lit. And finally, your oven. So let me see if I can do this with one hand. And there you go, all nice and lit there as well. I would say double check with these trays because sometimes it can intrude on the igniter, causing it to not light properly. Other things to note, you have to travel this glass sheet down, but don't put it down until all the burners are cold to the touch. And if you're traveling with gas bottles, make sure that the bottle itself is turned off. Then here we have your fridge operation. So to turn this on, press and hold in, it will flash up and then go to its most recent memory. When the fridge is on, you can see you get a couple of lights on. To change first the source, you have to press in on this and cancel your phone. Press and hold in and it will begin to flash. So you've got the choice of mains, that battery symbol, which is representative of 13-pin electric whilst you're towing, not the leisure battery, gas, or auto. So let's say I select auto. So I press in again, and then I have the amount of power. So 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. 5 being the most powerful, so it's going to chill it the quickest. So auto has selected mains. Even on full capacity, it is going to take around 4 hours to fully chill. Now, what I would also say as well, if you are wanting to use gas for the fridge, like I've selected there, check through all of this first just to make sure it's all nice and lit. So, again, this panel will fade off naturally. However, that blue light will continually stay on. When you don't want the fridge on at all, press and hold in, it will flash up, lights will go off, and there's now no more lights inside.